My name is Rochelle Nelson, and I too would like to welcome you all here today to celebrate with us. Yep.
There you go.
And I'm the acting co-lead of the History and Activities Subcommittee for BUILD. BUILD is a business resource group for Black Washington State employees and our allies. Our mission is to improve the experiences of Black state employees, increase Black representation in leadership positions, give voice to the Black perspective, and build each other up as we move forward. I also want to give a big shout out to today's speakers and facilitators for their willingness to collaborate with BUILD, because all of them here today are volunteering their time.
Hello, everybody. I'm Washington State Governor Bob Ferguson, and I first want to thank Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity for the invitation to say a few words here today. And I especially appreciate the opportunity to share well wishes as you all come together to celebrate Black History Month. This year's theme, African Americans and Labor, honors the invaluable contributions that Black workers have made to our country. Now, as you well know, these contributions are too often made without proper recognition and in the face of significant oppression. In the early 1970s, a man named Quintard Taylor Jr. was a young assistant professor in Washington State University's New Black Studies program. He actually launched a project to write a history of African Americans in the Pacific Northwest. And what he demonstrated, what he wrote about, were Black homesteaders, Black fur traders, cowboys, soldiers, you get the idea, newspaper publishers, miners, business people, shipbuilders.
Okay, I gotta go. He's on this
forward to today,
the Black,
and you all help shape the economic, social, and cultural fabric of our state. In short, Black history is American history. I took office just a month ago. It's a priority for me that Washington State remains a place that celebrates and uplifts diversity. Diversity and equity and inclusivity is a strength for Washington, and it's a place that supports every resident's civil rights. Washington is stronger because of the contributions of all its people. Our history is richer because of its diverse communities. Today and this month, Washington State celebrates all of you. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak today, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
Lift every voice and sing
Till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song
full of the faith that the dark past has taught us.
Sing a song
full of the faith that the present has
brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come
over a way that with tears has been watered.
We have come
treading our path through the blood of the
Father. Fell from the gloomy past till now we stand at last where the bright gleam of a bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet
Stray from the places, our God, where we met thee.
lest our hearts
Drunk with the wine of the world, we forget
get thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you, Governor Ferguson, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to make a video for Build's Black History Month event today. Also, help me thank the Build Choir for kicking off today's event and setting the tone for today's celebration. Let's go. Good afternoon. I am Brian Lindstrom, and I have the honor of being your Build Chair. As we gather to celebrate Black History Month, we reflect on the enduring impact of African Americans in the labor movement. Their unwavering spirit and resilience continue to inspire all of us. Let us come together to honor their legacy and commit ourselves to building a more inclusive and more equitable future for everyone. Before we introduce today's MC, I would first like to acknowledge some special guests and state service guests joining us today. I would like for them to stand as I call their name, and please please hold your applause until we have gotten through the names. Dante Payne, Mayor of Olympia. It's hard. We wanna give that love, you know? We love our mayor. Thank you. Kiara Daniels, Deputy Mayor of Tacoma and a graduate of Evergreen State College. All right, let's scratch the holding of applause, you know? Yeah, show our love. Okay. Thank you. He's not with us today, but Marcus Glasper, the Director of Washington State Department of Licensing and our executive sponsor. Give it up. Megan Matthews, Director of the Washington State Office of Equity and Build's inaugural chair. Latasha Tisdale, Inclusive Culture and Belonging Manager and BRG Coordinator at the Office of Financial Management. Go. Let's go. Yes. We love our advocates. Terry Redmond, DSHS Assistant Secretary of the Economic Services Administration. Charles Sutherland, CEO of the Western State Hospital Civil Center. Byron Eagle, CEO of the Child Study Treatment Center. Dr. Dexter Gordon, Executive Vice President of the Evergreen State College. And last, but certainly not least, Dr. Keith Stafford, Assistant Director of the Evergreen State College, Tacoma campus. And one more time, please join me in giving a round of applause for our distinguished guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for the wonderful appreciation that was shared this morning, well, today, but never mind. Nevertheless, hello, everyone. My name is Devon Brim, co-chair of BUILD. Today, oh, gracious, appreciate you all. But yes, nevertheless, today is a joyous occasion as we gather in this beautiful space to celebrate the creativity, originality, brilliance, and boldness of African Americans. As a state employee resource group, BUILD achieves its mission by uncovering, sharing, and celebrating the stories, achievements, strength, and genius of African diaspora, from the motherland to our homeland. And it's now my distinct honor to introduce our guest MC for this afternoon celebration. Shauna Lawson is known as a connector, a leader in the nonprofit world, a bridge between alumni and campus, and an advocate for students pursuing higher education and career opportunities. She earned her bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary arts and science with a concentration in self and society and a double minor in education and nonprofit management. From the University of Washington, Tacoma, she later attained a master's degree in organizational leadership and a graduate certificate in human resource development from Chapman University. Beyond her professional achievements, Lawson is deeply engaged in her community service. She serves as chair of the Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective Political Committee, president of the Black Women's Caucus Tacoma chapter, and is actively involved in committees and groups dedicated to meaningful change. Her passion for uplifting others and celebrating both the past and the future began during her time as a student leader at University of Washington, Tacoma, where she co-founded the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast as vice president of the Black Student Union. Over the years, she has collaborated with 26 nonprofit organizations across Pierce and King County, worked in higher education, supported over 600 students graduating from college, and was honored with the City of Destiny Award for Equity and Empowerment. Now back at her alma mater, University of Washington, Tacoma, Lawson continues to make a profound impact on both campus and the South Sound community. She is also a proud mother of 3 sons and lives with her husband, Ronald, in Puyallup, Tacoma. Now please, join me in welcoming Shauna Lawson to the podium.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Okay, we ready for this? You guys look beautiful. Our ancestors are proud. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Devon, for that warm introduction. I've been looking forward to being here with you today because I did not even know BUILD existed, even though I had heard something about them. I just didn't know. So this is the power and impact that this does to our community, and I'm so proud to be a part of it and partner and spread the word about this employee resource group, BUILD. I'm also very excited to welcome back to a BUILD event, Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga, as she leads us through a very engaging libation ceremony Let me tell you a little bit about her. So Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga is the academic dean at Evergreen State College, Tacoma campus. She holds a PhD in leadership and organizational change from Antioch University, a master's in human development with an emphasis in adult education and human services from Pacific Oaks College, and a Bachelor of Arts in sociology from the University of Washington. She is a Husky, just like me. Before we have Dr. Arunga to the podium, Francesca Hermsen, who is a person with indigenous ancestry and has been a Royal Build member since 2020. Francesca started her state services career in 2016, and she currently works as a fiscal analyst, got to get these titles right, because we work hard for these titles, at the Department of Corrections. Francesca will be introducing a land acknowledgement video produced by the Puyallup Tribe. Following the video, we will receive Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga to the podium to lead us through a sacred libation ceremony. Please join me now in welcoming Francesca Hermsen to the podium.
Hello, I'm Francesca. I'm an enrolled tribal member of the Lac du Flambeau Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. Land acknowledgements, they kind of split 50-50. Some people love them. Some people think it's, don't do it. So the respectful thing is to ask the tribe how they want it done. And the Puyallup tribe does want a land acknowledgement. It's part of their history. So I'm going to read something from their website. Why acknowledge the land? While the term land acknowledgement is fairly recent, the practice of acknowledging the land and the people who have stewarded it since time immemorial is an indigenous practice. Here in the Puget Sound, the people of Puyallup tribe have a protocol of asking permission to come ashore when their ancestors traveled by canoe to another territory. It was their protocol to stop offshore, to announce their arrival, offer respect to the lands and the people, and ask permission to come ashore. Their people continue this practice today, both on and off the canoe. Today, in practicing a land acknowledgement, we are recognizing that the land we're standing on is stolen. We recognize the people and the communities that cared for and lived on the land since the beginning of time. We acknowledge their stewardship, their forced removal, and their continued fight to live on their ancestral lands. Further, in practicing a land acknowledgement, one is committing to being a steward of that land. It's not solely about acknowledging the caretakers, but also the land itself. Each of us as human beings have a responsibility to care for the land. We must respect the land and the waters, the plants and the animals. Without them, we would not be able to live. One cannot offer empty words of acknowledgement. These acknowledgements are a commitment to the ongoing work of uplifting Native communities and protecting the land and resources that sustain us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, family. Yes, Tacoma Build Washington State in the house. Thank you. What an honor to be asked to pour the libation today. And I just want you to know that the flag of Marcus Mosiah Garvey is up outside of this building. Yes, indeed. Red is for the blood of the people and the blood that was shed for our struggle. Green is for the land that we left and the land where we currently exist and occupy. And black is for the people. And just so honored. I notice yellow is here. I believe yellow is for the prosperity of the future. And I just want to honor that. But Marcus Mosiah Garvey made the flag red, black, and green. So it's up outside. We hoisted it in the 1st of February, and it stands throughout the month in honor of Black History Month. Yes, indeed. And like the speakers before me, I just want to tell you how beautiful and joyful this building is with your presence here. You have really honored us by coming to Evergreen State College. I want to introduce you to Akuye Vargas, who is our alumni, and she is a cultural custodian responsible for a lot of the African art and motifs that you see in the building. Going to assist me with this libation today. And I need your assistance as well. I'd like to ask you if we say, when I say Ashe, can you repeat Ashe? Ashe. Thank you. Now, Ashe is a Yoruba word. It's a word of affirmation that yes, it is so. And as I pour libation, there have been religious exercises throughout Africa that pour libation and say Ashe, and it is religious. We do it as a radical act, one in which we were told to forget our ancestors, and we refuse to do that. We have to acknowledge that we come from somewhere, that we stand on the shoulders of those who come before us. And so this is an acknowledgement of that. And we ask you when we make a statement that you will help us by saying Ashe. And as I begin, I would like to ask permission from the elders to continue. Elder, at least Michelle's mama. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Brother Truth reminded me that we always ask permission from the elders to continue in these sacred acts. And so I'd like to begin at the beginning of time with Dinkanesh. Dinkanesh is the oldest human being standing erect 3.2 million years ago. The Europeans called her Lucy, but the Ethiopians called her Dinkanesh, the wonderful one. And I'd like to pour libation in honor of her today. Ashe. Ashe. And in Africa, the mother of all civilizations, let us not forget where the inventions of civilization was made possible through understanding mathematics, engineering, architecture, astronomy, agriculture. All of these things were first experienced in the African continent. And I want to honor those inventors today. Ashe. Ashe. Thank you. And with that, we had people who were minding their business in their homes, tending to their fields, caring for the very young and the very old when they were snatched from their homes. We understand that they were not just people waiting to come with chains to be brought to the Americas. This was a very horrific and violent act of supply and demand. And I just want to pay homage to the 13 million people who arrived in the Americas as a result of 300 years of movement. But it's Dr. John Henrik Clarke who tells us that if the Atlantic Ocean was to dry up today, it would reveal a trail of bones that lay at the bottom, and those would be the bones of our ancestors who did not make the voyage. He suspects that double the number is at the bottom of the ocean, even to today. So we acknowledge those of us who arrived, but we acknowledge those who did not arrive. Even the sharks learned to follow those ships so that they could feast on the bodies that were thrown overboard. So we want to acknowledge them today. Ashe. Ashe. But there were those who made it to the Americas, decided that whatever it takes, they're going to stay alive and make it to the other side. And not only did they make it to the other side, they built this country because they had skill sets that they left with. Those skill sets in particular of agriculture, where they knew even how to hybridize seed. They understood even the metal work that would make the farm implements that would grow this country. So we want to remember them. We want to remember the over 10,000 people who were lynched on trees all the way from the South, this far north, as far as Oregon State. We know people were lynched. 10,000 people, we say Ashe. We remember the civil rights era, and Martin Luther King is the name that we call, but there are other tens of hundreds who died in struggle just for our right to vote and our right for equal rights in this country. We pay homage to them today. Ashe. Ashe. Now, I want to really honor Washington State because a lot of people don't understand the significant impact we made here. But before I do that, and thank you to paying homage to the Native Americans, we have to understand we are on stolen land. And we are in a place where the stewards of this land made it possible for us to be here on a land that could flourish. And so we thank the Puyallup, we thank the Nisqually, the Squaxin, the Duwamish, and all of the great tribes of the Salish Sea, because they are the stewards of this land. This was their land, and it will continue to be their land. Ashe. Ashe. But there were three Georges. The first George was George Bush, the founder of Tumwater, Washington. And his son, Owen Bush, I pay homage to today because he was the first Black legislator of Washington State. Ashe. Ashe. Then there was George Washington, the founder of Centralia, Washington. And he came here with many people, settling many people through the years, and established Centralia as a city. In fact, the first actual founder of a city in the state of Washington. We pay homage today, Ashe. But there was a Black man called George Putnam Riley. 62 acres he and his colleagues invested in, now known as the Hilltop of Tacoma. This was a Black man. We pay homage to him today, Ashe. And then we remember our state legislators. Along with Owen Bush, there was also Sam Smith. There was Peggy Maxey. And then we remember Harold Moss, one of the first Black mayors of Tacoma, Washington. Ashe. Ashe. We also remember Evergreen State College, the founder, a proud Black woman called Maxine Mims. We honor her today. And along with Dr. Maxine Mims was LaVersa Sullivan, bringing technology to the Hilltop. We honor her. And we also honor Dr. Willie Parsons, who was our first scientist at Evergreen State College, Tacoma. We pay homage to them today. Ashe. Ashe. And I'd like you to take a moment to think of your parents or your grandparents, someone in your lineage who has passed away. Let us call their name and bring their memory into this room. And I call the name of my parents, Eddie and Geneva Tate. Ashe. Ashe. Please call the names of your lineage now.
Lawrence Sowell.
Ashe. Ashe. And as we continue to remember, I'd like to remember these words from the late Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan, when she said, "To the spirit of those named and unnamed who stood and struggled before us and beside us, we offer this libation." Ashe, 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 oh. And so it is. Thank you.
We understand now that we can't learn anything without grounding ourselves in our past. Like the same. Hope of bird. We know that we have to look back in order to move forward.
Evergreen State College was an experiment in higher education that I knew was a school for me to do what my parents knew that I could do. And that was build an academic environment for people to feel safe, brilliant, experiment with their genius, and have the dialogue of intellectual creativity. Whereas these differences with brown and black skin would come together, and you would find them sitting in an arena, in a room, speaking at a level, being the philosophers, being the biologists, being the anthropologists. They were born to be, and finally having the space and a place that they could demonstrate it with applause. And that's what the Tacoma campus is about.
Evergreen fosters a community where you're encouraged, especially as a woman of color and a non-traditional student. My goal is to attend law school.
Our Executive Vice President, Dr. Dexter Gordon, in the house.
Evergreen Tacoma is a very special campus, especially from my perspective, because I'm originally come from China. The institution was led by traditionally a series of Black woman leaders. So it's very much of a whole African American oriented atmosphere, and teaching since 2007 here full-time at Evergreen Tacoma campus. If you want some place that is recognize you as an individual, recognize your culture background, recognize you're part of a community, part of a family, this is a place for your higher education.
In Evergreen, ¿cómo aprendemos? We are taught in community and the differences that our professors teach us life skills and that help with our family and with helping our communities of color be able to make them better and empower us.
Why Evergreen Tacoma campus for me? That is kind of a personal question with a personal answer. This is my second higher education experience. And for me, in the first part of it that was not here, I forgot that I was Black in my education and the role that being Black plays in my higher educational experience. And so Evergreen gives me the ability to celebrate my Blackness and what it means to experience higher education as a Black man in America.
The reason why Evergreen is the go-to is because it levels the playing field for anyone that wants to continue their education. And they work with very diverse community members, families, and young people as well. It's not just a community college, it's a communiversity. And that's why Evergreen Tacoma campus is the go-to campus, because what it does is it empowers the communities and the families that live in it.
I am a senior here at Evergreen State College, Tacoma. What really sticks out about this school is the sense of community and the sense of belonging. Right now is the spring fair, and my particular group is working on sustainability along with hydroponics. and we have a garden set up outside where we demonstrated planting different plants, learning and teaching about the growing processes, breaking down the information to a point where it's easier for people to grasp the concept and understand the message that we're trying to get across.
Their methods of teaching lie more so on your passions and your actual specific skills. It's more geared towards however you learn specifically, but they know how to adhere to each and every student's particular type of learning. This is the first college that I've been to that's teaching us how to preserve our history and our lineage, teaching us how to research our lineage and find the hidden contributions and be a custodianship of our culture. It means legacy.
For me, it's the logical choice, Tacoma Evergreen State College, because there is so much love here. There's so much collectiveness and togetherness. It's a place where we can come together and be reintroduced to our culture and to who we are and to our traditions and things of that nature, which is just so beautiful, and it's a blessing. And every time I come here, there's so much energy and there's so much love and collectivity, and our ancestors are here with us. And, you know, you can't get that anywhere else. And so for me, that's number one.
All right. Francesca, thank you for that enlightening land acknowledgement that you shared with us. It definitely was enlightening. Thank you, Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga, for that powerful libation ceremony and the wonderful sneak peek of the inner workings of Evergreen Tacoma. We always appreciate your participation in and your support of the Build events. We look forward to partnering with you and Evergreen again in the future. Thank you. For our next presentation, I'm thrilled to introduce you to our first guest speaker. He drove all the way from Vancouver, Washington to be with us this afternoon, definitely showing commitment. Nathan A. Webster was born and raised in Vancouver, Washington. He honorably served in the United States Marine Corps before starting his educational career at Clark College. While pursuing his associate's degree, he officially began his entrepreneurial journey serving his Portland, Vancouver metropolitan community. After earning his MBA, his background in management and nonprofits ignited a passion for developing businesses and community leaders. Can you guys hear me good? Okay, good. Nathan started his consultancy agency focusing on nonprofits before it evolved into marketing. In the same year, he became a business college adjunct at his alma mater, launching his career as a college professor. In 2016, he became a podcaster focused on social entrepreneurship and evolved it into Let's Talk Marketing with NDUB podcast. As the lead marketing consultant, Nathan continues to run his marketing agency, developing marketing strategies, websites, and operational support for small businesses. He has a big heart for kids, loves the outdoors, and is learning to golf when he's not networking or working in his company. Following Nathan's presentation, Dr. Shamika Sutton, she's no stranger to Build, will facilitate us through an engaging, interactive Black History themed game of Kahoot. Everyone here and online simply needs a cell phone to participate, so get your phones ready. It's pretty tricky. But now, help me welcome Professor Nathan Webster to the podium.
Good afternoon. Is that all right? Can I walk with this? Okay, thank you. Y'all got my slides up? All right, let's get started. First and foremost, it's a beautiful thing to see so many beautiful Black shades, brown shades, and our cousins, white shades. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, I drove from Vancouver, Washington, because sometimes we got to travel. A couple of weeks ago, I drove from Vancouver again to Seattle for our another event. So I did this presentation back in 2019, and I kind of switched it up for this so we can talk a little bit about Black Wall Street. As an entrepreneur, I've always been one to kind of march to my own drum beat, but I really never found a person to follow. Like what does it, like, especially, 20 years ago when I started, entrepreneurship was a dirty word. It's still hard to spell, but you couldn't spell it. So when we look at entrepreneurship, it's about taking risks. It's a lot of risk, but it's for a gain. And some people do it for different reasons, but next slide. In this presentation, I started off with having it be about O.W. Gurley from Black Wall Street. I didn't learn about Black Wall Street. There you go. So this was the presentation I did back in 2019, and it was to our faculties and staff of color conference. For those that are in the system, we do that in the fall. And so I wanted to talk about O.W. Gurley because he was like one of the co-founders of Black Wall Street. And it was something that I'm like, how come I never got taught this in school? How come I didn't get to learn about it when I was starting a business? But next slide, please. I was like, how come when it comes to, keep going, one more. When it comes to the Black capitalism of yesterday, we're not taught that. And one thing that I want to say that I want to continue to say and harp on, as this beautiful sister said, Ashe, is one thing I've learned in the Black community is once we are able, like, they say you got to Maslow before you can bloom. Once we get our ability to get our feet settled down, we then share it. We then support one another. And we do it in a way that some people be hating on. Because we all about community. We all about lifting each other up, because it's like, man, why I gotta come, like Allen Iverson is the perfect example of being attacked for making sure his people, right? Talking about playoffs, but nobody want to talk about why he missed the playoff practice. So here's the things, like, we don't ever give our people sometimes a chance to explain. We just be attacking, just like when Billie Holiday couldn't sing Strange Fruit. Y'all was saying, y'all get that. I was saying, y'all get that. Next slide, please. So O.W. Gurley, he was one of the founding fathers back in Oklahoma. When we talk about Tulsa and what does that look like? Because there was multiple Black Wall Streets. So, it's just not one, it was multiple. And if you want to follow it, you can also follow it with Madam C.J. Walker. But go to the next slide, please. One of the things that just real fast, we talk about the land. It was when O.W. was working for Cleveland's cabinet. He got the heads up of, hey, look, there's going to be a land grab, because that's when we, as America, is traditionally known as like defaulting on our word. So we had some treaties, and we said, I'm going to take that back. And let me go ahead and take this land from the reservation. And we're going to capitalize that into land. And so O.W., he had the heads up on it. And he said, hey, look, we got to make sure we get good on this. So in 1913, he had several stores, houses, homes, just so much. And to the equivalent back in 2019, it said like he was worth $3.6 million. Next slide. So this is what, we can say capitalism, coming on up, moving to the east side, looked like back in the day. For us right now, you're like, that's not much. But back then, they were balling. Next slide. Hey, don't think we didn't have vehicles too. Right? We had some Model Ts, like people want to say we only were walking. We were only on horseback. Homie smashing. With his family. Come on now, we don't be seeing this. Like, we were coming up. Right? Don't get illusion that we weren't doing nothing. Next slide, please. So I'm like, let's talk about that today. Next slide. So we know of this like Power Five. Next slide. One individual that may not get a lot of attention is this brother here, David. started off as a janitor, but is the richest Black billionaire in the country. And he does it in tech. So we don't even talk about, like, because he's not, you know, doing crossovers, singing, but homie is laying down some IT infrastructure, making millions while he's asleep. Next slide. And then I don't know if y'all heard about this. When one brother said, look, I'm about to forgive almost 400 students their student loan debt. Now I know my college was not cheap. So I was like, man, where were you at in my graduation ceremony? So next slide. So this brother here, again, this is a slide from 2019. He's like almost doubled his worth. It's Robert Smith. He does a PE firm, and he got blasted for not telling anyone that he was going to give this money and forgive this debt. And so they were like, that creates so many problems, blah, blah, blah. But that started, next slide, please. Actually, I'm sorry, go back one. He started an organization that will allow, it was in my last slides. He started an organization that was a private equity fund to help African-Americans, especially from HBCUs, find a way to forgive their student loans, but also give them the opportunity. But because he got so much flack, he was like, if you want to donate, this is how we can put this in a fund to continue to erase the opportunities that are taken away when folks don't go to college, because we, the people that look like us, are the ones that aren't able to go to college. So this is the way that we can do it, but you probably haven't heard of his organization. So if you check him out on Vista Equity Partners, they will come up. Next slide. So as you said, I'm learning how to golf in my bio. I'm learning how to golf. And so J.R. Smith, for some of those that don't know, he played for Cleveland Cavaliers. He would be the dude always taking off his shirt in the parades. He went to Northern Carolina A&T, HBCU, and said, I'm going to golf. And I tried to get the reaction, but I wasn't able to show that on his first semester, he made the honor roll. Because he went from high school to the pros. And he said that one of the things I won't, this is on, it's undefined, something like that. If you go to Prime, type that in, you can see his documentary, and I don't want to take it away or steal or spoil. But when it comes to his education path, he was never encouraged because he was given diagnoses. How many of us have been given diagnoses? I was given a speech impediment. I shouldn't chew gum and talk, but I had learned how to do that through multiple years of speech therapy.
Amen. Amen.
So when I thought I was dumb, stupid, and I wanted to be like, oh, dog, from Menace to Society, young, Black, and not give up, this is where like I was going to fulfill my manifestation, because I didn't see anyone else that looked like me in certain places. So when I put JR up in here, because, next slide, please. He went to this team, and what is very interesting is these college athletes at HBCUs on the golf team, they weren't sponsored by any golf. So a big deal for them, and I was going to try to get it, and I couldn't because they wouldn't let me take a screenshot, is they got truly fitted for golf clubs. If you ain't fitted for golf clubs, you're going to have a horrible time and it's going to suck. And they were never fitted for golf clubs as D1 college athletes. So when you're talking about going against other D1 school and they have state-of-the-art facilities and the equipment, and they weren't even able to get that. So when I said earlier, as J.R. Smith was kind of filling it out of like, hey, I can access some of these things that they need, and our coaches can't do that. The school can't afford it. What do? He set up the opportunity for them to get fitted, and then he helped the other HBCU teams out. Next slide. And then, the other, does it come through? So I have some text in there. Who Who's this? Tabitha Brown. What do y'all know about what she be saying? What's one of her sayings? It's very good. She says, if you ain't having a nice day, don't mess it up for nobody else. How many know you got some uncles and aunties and grandmothers and grandpas be saying that? Because that's what we be doing in the community, and she be saying it all day long. But she also says, you can only do this when you feel free. And you are either enslaved individually, or you have subscribed to our colonizers. Next one. So when I was thinking about this presentation, I'm like, man, this is just Black excellence. Other people say, well, we're just excellent. Because why should we put Black on it when we're just excellent? Because if we're going to compare, as I say, the comparison is thief of joy. We're just excellent, period. But I also want to say, for those that may need to see it, we Black excellent too. So you can have dreads, you can have kinky, you can be bald, you can have a little lamp, little swagger to it. It doesn't have to look like what we see in mainstream. Next slide, please. So this last August, I went to Nairobi, Kenya, and in the top right, you'll see my caddy. Man, I'm just like, I have a Black caddy. I have a Nairobi, Kenya caddy. Carrying myself, say, hey, and with his accent, if you go to my IG, you hear him talk. I'm like, you sure I should hit this? It's like, yeah, man. If you hit the 5, it's going to tick you over. I was like, oh, okay. And the brother that's in the blue shirt, he joined us on the back half. It turned out that he was an elected official. And I was just like, not even realizing that I went there for a business trip to go with WSU. And at the bottom right, when I got my haircut, homie was like, yeah, I just want to go to America and then come back after I get money and be a business owner so I can come back home. And every single one of them was like, hey, welcome back home, brother. Welcome back home. Welcome back home. And I had to put this in there because as we have always got to the place where we can give back, then, from being stationed in Hawaii, Japan, it started at the church. You go to church, first, and then you get invited to the house. But after you go to church, you gotta go to church. You can't go to the club, then, get invited. You go to church, and then, they say, come on over. But one of the things I always got was like, hey, when you coming over? All these people ask me, when you gonna come back? So I went and put, this, when I was there and said, hey, I'm here for Washington State University, they were just so surprised that an African American was there. Next slide. I think this is my last slide. So this is one thing that I love is meeting Andre, talking to him, for hours. And I was able to participate and not 2 years ago. And when we come to the theme, it's just like, we are all one. And this is for Juneteenth. This was for Juneteenth in 2023. And I just think it's so beautiful that we can come together in the name of labor. And if we actually continue to say, hey, look, I'm good, but how can I reach out and help? This is where entrepreneurship is in our blood. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. And I will encourage you to continue to do it. And thank you for giving me this space.
Waiting for these lovely young ladies to get up here. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you coming up here from Vancouver. We've had conversations over the phone, and I reached out to Nathan probably a year and a half ago to do another event for us. And I built a relationship with him, and you know, it's all about relationship building. And so that's why he came up today to be with us. Can we give him another round of applause?
And I also wanted to thank the Washington Home Ownership Resource Center. Thank you, Evelyn, for being here. We appreciate you. And also, Alethea, thank you, Alethea, for being here from Washington State Historical Society. We appreciate you.
Back to those tables and check them out. They have some good information. We're gonna let Dr. Sutton do something real quick. You know, Bowlegs Fish and Chips, like we mentioned earlier today, they provided all this food for free. And speaking of that, we have a ton of fish because they've got it all fried up now. So if you're still hungry, you want to take a to-go plate, make sure you go back and get some more, okay? So at this time, not everybody at one time. Come on. Yeah. There's enough to go around. There's enough to go around, okay? Oh boy, my people. Anyhow, could we have Jermaine and Denise come up here?
Jermaine and Denise.
From Bowlegs Fish and Chips. You know, this is what you have to understand. This is, Nathan just spoke to us about entrepreneurship. These are the children of the owners of Bowlegs Fish and Chip that came up here today. You know, we just wanted to show our appreciation and our love for everything they've done for us. And I'm going to give the mic to Dr. Shamika Sutton.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say thank you to my husband for letting me exploit him for his craft. But Denise and Jermaine, and your parents, we wanted to just show our appreciation for you guys' blessings. Yes. So with our greatest appreciation, we hereby recognize Bowlegs Fish and Chips for your continued support of the Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity Business Resource Group.
You know, we always got to do that photo op thing, you know.
Thank you. Okay, so this wouldn't really kind of be one of our events if we didn't have things to give away. So we have a raffle that we're going to do. We're going to be doing raffles from here on out. After Kahoot, we'll start doing it after Kahoot. Please pull those raffle tickets out, and we have a raffle ticket table in the back. And if your number gets called, you can come to the back and pull something off of the table. All right?
Thank you.
Is it in the right spot? No.
It's in there.
Also, if you went back to the 360 booth, you should have got another raffle ticket that's blue for additional prizes. So if you have either one of those tickets, get those out.
All right, so now it's time to play a game that we can all join in on, even those watching via Facebook or YouTube. This is an interactive timed trivia game called Kahoot. There are 10 multiple choice or true/false questions, all of which pertain to our theme of African American history and labor. African Americans have played a crucial role in the labor industry, contributing significantly to the nation's economy through their work in agriculture, infrastructure building, and various industries, despite facing persistent discrimination, exclusion from unions, and often being relegated to the most dangerous and lowest paying jobs. Our history within the labor movement is marked by struggles for fair wages, better working conditions, and equal access membership, leading to significant labor actions and activism against racial segregation in the workplace. The questions within this quiz are but a minuscule look into the people that paved a way for future generations. And here's how we're going to play. Pull out your phone and use your camera to scan the QR code provided on the screen and at each table. Don't worry, you're not going to have to download an app and take away that precious picture space. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get it rolling. We can skip past this slide. Next. All right. She founded churches and established one of Virginia's first secondary schools for African American students in 1893. Who do y'all think it is? Oh, wow. Hopefully y'all learned something today because it was Jenny Dean. Odell, is Odell here today? Is Odell on? Odell, stand up or wave. Yeah. Number 2, born to enslaved parents. Charles Young, the 9th African American admitted to West Point, had a major role in what group? Gotta be fast, gotta be fast. Got a few more seconds. Oh, nice job. Let's see who took that one. Who was fastest? Oh, who's IH? Oh, okay, IH is here. Next question. Blank was the first African-American woman in the U.S. to establish what type of business? This one's tricky. You got to guess the right name and the right business. Few more seconds. Oh, Maggie L. Walker, and it was a bank. Who got that one? TJ, where's TJ? Right here. First, true or false? The post-Civil War, the Revolutionary era provided constitutional reforms meant to improve opportunities for African Americans. Is that true or is that false? The Revolution era. Oh, I thought I was going to get a bunch of you guys. You guys got that one right. Who took that one? John Miles? Is John Miles here or online? He's back there. In 1862, the Emancipation Proclamation declared enslaved people were free. As a result, the blank amendment was ratified. Who knows your Constitution or who thinks you know? Few more seconds. Oh, you guys know your Constitution. Who took that one? Who was fastest? John? John again? So we're gonna, Ahia? Did I say that right? What laws guaranteed social and physical segregation, preventing Black people from decent education, jobs, and wealth? 5, 4, 3, and Jim Crow laws. Who was quickest? Who was quickest? Who took it? Asia or Ahia?
Asia.
Asia? Oh, she's right back here. True or false? The first union to organize workers, regardless of race, gender, or ability, was the Knights of Labor, founded in 1869. Is that true or is it false? This is just one of the founders. Who knows their unions? Man, I thought I was going to trick y'all on that one too. Who took that one? Who has fast fingers? Huh? Asia again. So we're going to skip down to SJG. Who's SJG? Are they in the house? We'll check it out. Next. This Washington State newspaper man observed, commented upon, and protested the hardening of racial lines between 1890 and 1920. Who's this guy?
They can pick up the basketball table.
5 seconds. Ooh, I got a lot of y'all actually. Who took that one? Who took that one? John Miles, you're gonna get a special surprise. Asia, you too, because you guys are keep hitting them top scores. Next. Second to the last one. Jobs for African Americans increased in Washington State between the 1890s to 1920s, being recruited for what primary reason? Ooh, got some fast thumbs. Got some fast thumbs out there. Coming up, answers. Oh, I got you guys on that one. Strike breakers, look it up. That's your task for today. Who took that? Took it. John knows his history. Way to go, John. Last one. In 1889, who was the first Black man elected to the House of Representatives in Washington State? Now, all y'all should get this because it was said earlier. Who was listening? Who was listening? 3 seconds. 2 of y'all was not listening. Oh, no. 8 y'all was not listening. William Owen Bush. And who took that one? 3rd place, TJ, come on up. SJG, come on up. In 1st place, let me guess. John Miles. Now it's a round of applause.
I'll save them for the next. Not done. We're gonna you can take them back. Oh yeah, you take back.
Samantha Greenleaf online. Way to go. You got 2nd place.
Okay, everyone, really quick. I'm gonna get your tickets out because I'm gonna go quick, okay? Because we gotta stay on schedule. So here we go. First raffle ticket. 205694. 205694. Okay. Next, 205722. 205722. Okay. And one more. 205719. 205719. I'm gonna do one more. 205717. 205717.
Okay, this is from the 360. Your blue ticket, if you went back and got a 360 photo, this is for the raffle back there. 1850925. 1850925. Well, hey, you a winner.
Okay, we're gonna keep it going really quick. Okay, here we go. Back to the red tickets. 205706. 205706. Okay. Yeah? Yay! I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give it to you and you give it to them back there. There's a table back there. Take both of these. Take both. Take both. Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, 205707. 205707. Okay, we got them. Okay. 205731. 205731. Do you have it? Okay, here, come get this one and take it back there, okay? Okay, two more. 205668. That table back there, the green. 205668. No? Nobody? 205690. 205690. Nobody? Okay. 205648. 205648. Yep. 205726. 205726. You can take that to the table, the green. 205655. 205655. Nobody? Okay. 205711. 205711. No? Okay, next. 205652. 205652. No? Okay. 205646. 205646. One more. 205727. No? Okay. Okay. Three more. What you got? Which one you got? Okay. Oh God. Okay.
So just let me go back and get it. Huh?
205668. That's what's wrong. Okay, so we're gonna pause now and we're gonna move on with the program and we'll do this later, okay?
All right, you guys. I have been tasked to get us some time back on our side, okay? So I'm gonna make this real quick. I want to thank Nathan for sharing his insightful perspective with us today. And Dr. Sutton, we can't forget, thank you for spending time with us today and facilitating another amazing round of Kahoot. We definitely learned a lot today. Let's give them a hand. Now, moving this along. So now it's our keynote speaker. It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for today's event, April Sims. April was elected president of the Washington State Labor Council, AFL-CIO, in October 2022, and was sworn in to begin her 4-year term in January 2023. She is the first woman to be elected WSLC president and the first Black woman elected to the presidency of an AFL-CIO state federation. That's right. I'm sorry, there's a lot here. I'm just trying to pull through. As president, Sims is the chief executive officer of the council, supervises all of its activities and staff, and leads Washington's largest union organization representing more than 500,000 union members. She has lived experience as evidence of the power and potential of organized labor. She is the granddaughter of Louisiana sharecroppers and the daughter of a single mother. She has seen the power of unions to change lives. Without further ado, she will share the rest with you. Please welcome April Sims.
All right, y'all can make a little more noise than that. Come on. What I'm talking about. Well, good afternoon. How y'all doing? Good. Thank you for that introduction. Thanks for keeping it short. Whenever someone reads my full bio, I think I got to change that thing. It is long. Well, let me start first by thanking Build Chair Brian Lindstrom and Co-Chair Devin Brim, and the leaders of Build for inviting me to share this space with you today, with a special shout out to Andre and Rochelle for their work bringing us all together. I think in recent days, we have all been reminded how important it is to create opportunities to come together, to heal together, to learn together, and perhaps more importantly, to find joy together. So I want you to know that I don't take the privilege of being invited to speak lightly. As mentioned, my name is April Sims. My pronouns are she and her, and I have the privilege of serving as president of the Washington State Labor Council, AFL-CIO, which is the umbrella labor organization in Washington State. We represent more than 600 locals and over 630,000 unionized workers in every industry, sector, and corner of this beautiful state. And in Washington, we proudly boast having the third highest union density in the nation. At nearly twice the national average, it means 1 in 5 workers in our state is represented by a union. And I know what some of you are thinking, who's 1 and who's number 2? I'll save you the Google search. It's Hawaii and New York respectively, but we've put them on notice that we're organizing every day. So we're coming for that number 1 spot. As mentioned, my service in the labor movement comes with the distinction of being the first woman in Washington State and the first Black woman in the country elected to lead out a state AFL-CIO organization. It's still not old, so I thought I'd say it. But what is perhaps more noteworthy is that I get to serve with Sharika Carter as my secretary-treasurer. Yeah. Our historic, thank you, Kevin, our historic and uncontested election in October of 2022 means that Washington State labor movement is led by 2 Black women. Amen. And some might suggest that that says something about my and Sharika's leadership, but I think it says even more about the leaders of the Washington State labor movement and our deep and collective commitment to racial, gender, and economic justice. And I want to give a special shout out to Kevin Allen, who's in the audience. He is a vice president at the State Labor Council, representing the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. Now, there are two things that my bio won't tell you. The first is that I am the ranking Scrabble champ in my family. Yes, a title I have proudly defended every year since 2015. It involved a well-placed cue on a triple word score, and I defeated my own mama for that title. So, the second thing I'll share with you is that the labor movement changed my life. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that. I grew up right on the corner of 9th and M. I was raised by a single mother of 3, and my mom, Cherie, believed in hard work and the American dream. She didn't expect to get rich, but she did expect that if she worked hard, if she played by the rules, she'd have the dignity that comes from making enough money to take care of her family. That she'd be able to pay the bills, put food on the table, and if she planned things just right, set aside a little something so she could retire one day. But that dream wasn't our reality because we were poor. And we weren't like money is tight, wait till next payday poor. You know, they just cut off the electricity poor. We were on and off welfare for most of my childhood. And the thing is, my mom wasn't lazy. I mean, she worked. She was one of the hardest working women I knew. Sometimes she'd work 2, maybe 3 jobs right before school started or around the holidays when money was especially tight. But hard work was never enough because something would inevitably happen. Maybe one of us would get sick and she'd miss work. Like the time we all got the flu and we did the thing that kids do. We didn't get sick all at once, but rather back to back to back. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. She missed 6 days of work. She didn't have paid sick leave. So since she didn't work, she didn't get paid. And since she didn't get paid, she couldn't pay the rent. So for a while we were homeless and had to go back on welfare. Sometimes she'd quit because the working conditions were bad. Like the winter, she worked the early shift at the dry cleaners and the manager refused to turn on the heat because she was the only one working. And I used to get up early and watch her prepare for the day, and she'd put on her multiple layers of long johns, fill up her big thermos of coffee and head out the door. And I remember her coming home with fingers still stiff from the cold. I remember her frustration and her desperation that we just couldn't seem to get ahead. You know, for every 3 steps she would take forward, something would push her back, and we were trapped in this cycle of poverty. And then she got a union job and things changed. And I remember her coming home from her interview and she said, baby, if I can just get this job, it's going to change our lives. And she was right. Her union negotiated a contract that made sure her hard work was rewarded with a livable wage so she could pay the light bill. Her union contract included good benefits like paid sick leave and health care. So she didn't worry about how she was going to make the rent when my brother and sister and I all got the chicken pox. Again, back to back to back. Her union fought for her. When they reclassified her position and her union fought for back pay, she used that money to buy her first car. And it meant she didn't have to take the 1.5-hour bus trip from our house on the hilltop all the way out to Western State Hospital where she worked. Her union gave her a voice. When her supervisor was making inappropriate comments, she didn't want to say anything. She didn't want to risk her job because she knew her kids were counting on her. But she did mention it to a coworker who happened to be a union shop steward. And her union shop steward told her, Cherie, you're not the one who needs to worry about losing your job. And after 30 years of hard work and commitment, my mom retired with economic dignity and financial stability because of her union job, because of her union pension. Y'all can give it up for that. And let me tell you, Cherie is living her best life right now. She is traveling as we speak. But I share that because I want you to know that I know firsthand the difference our collective work makes in the lives of workers, families, and communities. It is that knowledge that's driven my service in the labor movement. It's that knowledge that drives my vision for the labor movement that we can build together collectively. And I also want to lift up that some of you probably know I've gotten pretty good at sharing that story over the years. But another part of my story that I don't often share, but I think is important to share with you all today, is that I was also a teenage mom and a high school dropout. And it took me a couple years to figure things out, to go back to school, do a little course correct. But it took me even longer to shake the shame and the stigma of being a high school dropout and a teenage mom. It became my most closely guarded and protected secret, right? I let that define who I was, how I saw myself, what opportunities I thought were available to me. It was a stigma that I carried for a long time. And I let it feed my imposter syndrome. You guys know what I'm talking about when I talk about imposter syndrome? The idea that you're not good enough, that you're not the right person, that maybe somehow you are where you are because someone else got you there through some wild stroke of luck, not because of your hard work or your talent or your education or your background. Y'all don't hear me today. All right, thank you. Now listen, like many of you, I'm only here because someone invited me to a meeting, because the shop steward in my workplace saw leadership in me long before I saw it in myself. In a former life, I was a child support enforcement officer. Now, at one point in time, this was a dream job for me. I told you I was raised by a single mom, so I had all these ideas about who did and didn't pay child support and all the reasons why. But the years I spent staring down all the ways the system was unfair and failing really made me miserable. So I got active in my union and I started going to meetings and conferences and trainings. I became a shop steward, local vice president, the organizing chair of my union. To say that I was encouraged every step of the way is to say it mildly, I was pushed into leadership. I was a reluctant leader because remember, I still carried shame and stigma of being a high school dropout and a teenage mom. But when WIFC, my union, was hiring for a council rep, I thought, well, maybe it's time to leave working at the Division of Child Support and go and work for my union. And the shop steward in my workplace, the same shop steward that invited me to a local meeting, said, now is the time, April, fill out your resume, send it in, apply, I know you'll get hired. So I sucked it up, built up all my courage, typed up the best resume you all have ever seen, sent it in, and I didn't even get a response. I didn't even get a thank you for applying. I was devastated. I thought for sure someone at my union knows that I was a teenage mom and a high school dropout. Somebody knows that I'm not good enough for this job. But I tried again about 6 months later and they hired me. And I got to work as a council rep for a couple of years, doing leadership development and identification, working for my union, doing work that I loved. And then there was an opening in the Legislative and Political Action Department, and the director of that department encouraged me to apply. In fact, he said, I don't care if you write your resume on the back of a napkin, get it in. And I said, okay, I will. And then I didn't. Because I thought for sure I'm going to apply for this job. They're going to read my resume and they're going to know that I've been faking it this whole time, that I'm not as good at this work as folks think I am. But he called me again and he said, get it in. So I did get in my resume. And I didn't know a lot about politics, but the director of the Legislative and Political Action Department saw leadership in me before I saw it in myself. And he hired me to be the Legislative and Political Action Field Coordinator for the Washington Federation of State Employees. And I worked in that capacity for about 8 years, building what I will humbly say was one of the best, most robust member lobby programs in the state. Engaging, you give it up for that. Engaging rank and file union members in the political process, getting them involved with meeting their legislators, turning them out to vote. But I started to get restless. And I noticed that the Washington State Labor Council was doing the broader work of the labor movement, focusing on issues that moved beyond just wages, benefits, and working conditions. And I wanted to be a part of that. So in 2014, when the position for political and strategic campaigns director became available, I dusted off my beautiful resume, updated my cover letter, sent it in full of hope and aspiration. And I got a letter telling me that they had decided not to fill the position. I thought, see, someone knows I've been faking it this whole time. Someone knows that I'm really not as good at this job as people think I am. I was devastated. It was a real setback for me. And I remembered that, that's right, April, you are a high school dropout and a teenage mom, and you're probably not good enough for this job anyway. But about a year later, that same president of the Washington State Labor Council called me and convinced me to apply to be the field director, and hired me and tasked me with leading our campaign to to raise the statewide minimum wage and pass paid, safe, and sick leave. And I was ecstatic. Like, this was the dream job, doing the work of the broader labor movement. And the third day on the job, one of the vice presidents of the Washington State Labor Council came into the office and congratulated me on being hired and proceeded to let me know that then President Jeff Johnson hired me because he knew he had to hire a Black woman for the position. Now, I don't want to think he was being malicious, but the impact of that, right, took me right back to being an imposter, right back to thinking he knows my secret. He knows that I'm not good enough, that I've been faking it this whole time, that I am only here by luck. It erased every time I showed up early and stayed late. It erased every time I over-prepared and over-delivered. It negated all of the hard work and the accomplishments that I had achieved over the years, and it fed my imposter syndrome and really made me wonder if I was ready for this next step in my leadership. Now, it might be true that Jeff knew he needed to hire a Black woman. These days, I say everybody should have at least one Black woman on their team. In fact, get you two. But when folks started asking me to run for Secretary Treasurer of the Washington State Labor Council, I questioned myself. Even though I had been doing good work with the Washington State Labor Council up until that time, the Secretary Treasurer is like the CFO. It's a big position. And I started to wonder if I was ready. Would people vote for me? I mean, it's one thing to be a reluctant leader and to apply for a position. Nobody sees your resume except the hiring committee. But it's another thing to ask people to vote for you, to elect you to be a leader. And I was sure that along the way, someone would discover this closely guarded secret of being a high school dropout and a teenage mom. And I thought, they're finally going to know I've been faking it this whole time. And there were times in the campaign, really, when I questioned if I was ready for leadership. I questioned if the labor movement was ready for my leadership. I remember a white male leader coming up to me and proudly telling me that their union was going to support my campaign. And then he proceeded to let me know, see, April, sometimes, or we support women, and sometimes we support people of color too. I said, well, yeah, thanks. You had to make it awkward. All right. But let's be honest. Supporting a Black woman for leadership is one thing, but being ready and prepared for the ways in which Black women lead is another. All right, you can give it up back. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me today? But I ran unopposed for Secretary Treasurer in December of 2018. I was elected, the first Black woman elected executive officer of the State Labor Council. And 4 years later, I had the audacity to run for president with another Black woman by my side. I share that because what I want to lift up in this room as we're talking about leadership, and we're talking about carving out spaces and rather navigating spaces that weren't designed with our success in mind. I want you to know that I questioned myself and my ability every single time I moved into a new position, whether it was from shop steward of my local to president of the Washington State Labor Council. And I think it's important to be transparent about this journey because maybe there's someone in the room who feels that imposter syndrome too. Maybe there's someone in this room who has their own closely guarded secret. Maybe there's another high school dropout or someone who's sitting in this room wondering if you're ready for this next step in your leadership. Maybe you think that someone is going to discover that you've been faking it this whole time too. Plot twist, everyone's faking it. No one knows what they're doing. But I just want to say to you today that if that is holding you back, you can let it go. In fact, you have to let it go because in this moment, we need you now more than ever. We need your leadership. We need your ideas. We need your perspectives and your experiences. That is the only way we are going to move this work forward. It's the only way we're going to change the outcomes that we are experiencing. And so there's a couple of things I've learned on my leadership journey I want to share with you before I close out. And the first is that the dominant culture will suggest that leadership is supposed to look a very specific way. And that if your leadership doesn't look like that, if you don't show up like that, talk like that, walk like that, think like that, then maybe you're not ready for leadership, or maybe you're not the leader that folks thought you were. But I think leadership is not just sharp elbows, but it is also soft power. I think that leadership is not just decisive decision-making, but it is also creative collaboration. And that leadership isn't just having all the answers, but it is really about asking all the questions. It means leading with vulnerability and authenticity, because that's the only way we break the imposter syndrome. The idea that we're not good enough or smart enough or prepared enough or somehow unworthy. The ridiculous idea that we got here on someone else's grace or merits. Those things are holding us back, and we have to release them. They're not ours to hold anymore. And since I'm standing here in front of Sankofa, this image of Sankofa, which literally means to go back and get, I want to share with you the most important lesson I've learned in my leadership journey. That it is our responsibility as leaders in this room to not just create a path for new leaders, but to widen the path for leadership in general. So that because not everyone has to or should show up in the ways that we show up, right? That literally, if we can widen the path, we can create a sustainable system of new leaders in this movement, new leaders in this work, energizing us, because none of us have all the answers. Without multiple voices and ideas and experiences, we're limited in our solutions. And this really hit home for me during the pandemic. I was watching Wonder Woman. Now listen, I'm Team Marvel, but it was the pandemic. So, you do what you gotta do. And I was watching Wonder Woman fly through the sky. And I remember thinking, man, if I could fly, how would I do it? Would I fly with my hands up in the air like Superman, out to the side like an airplane, behind me like a dart? I spent most of the movie examining the advantages and the disadvantages of these three very specific ways to fly. And when the movie was over, I asked my family, if you could fly, how would you do it? Up in the air, out to the side, behind you like a dart. And I asked my youngest daughter, Naya, how would you do it? Now, what you should know about Naya is she is my most A-type child. Okay? Naya is a nurse at Tacoma General in the neurotrauma ICU. So she is making decisions in real time. She's got no time to play around. And Naya said, oh, Mom, I wouldn't fly like that. I'd fly with one hand up, one hand bent, one leg straight, one knee bent, so I could be maximum efficient through the sky. I got no time to waste. I didn't even think about that, right? I asked my older daughter, Jasmine, if you could fly, how would you do it? Up in the air, out to the side, behind you like a dart. Now, what you should know about Jasmine is she is my creative child. Jasmine is a spoken word artist. She's also a union rep for Protect 17, so shout out to that. Her hair is never the same color or style for longer than a week. Jasmine said, oh no, Mom, I wouldn't fly like that. I would fly like I was snowboarding. I want to rock heel to toe through the sky, and I want to land on my feet real cool around all my friends. And I thought, I didn't even think about that. You could fly like you were snowboarding. So I asked my husband, Marcus, now, Marcus, if you could fly, how would you do it? Now, what you should know about Marcus is he works hard. Marcus is a total dad. He comes home and he just wants to chill and watch whatever sports is on TV. Marcus said, no, I wouldn't fly like that. I wouldn't fly in any of those ways. I would fly with my hands crossed behind my head, lying on my back with my feet crossed at the ankles, because I just want to chill through the sky. And I thought, oh, I didn't even think about that. So I became fascinated by this question, and I started asking people everywhere I went, if you could fly, how would you do it? Who in here wants to tell me, if you could fly, how would you do it? Somebody tell me. One fist up. Yes, that's powerful. Someone else.
Feet first.
Feet first. Okay. Land on your feet. I like it. I like it. Listen, one person told me that they would fly like a butterfly. Low to the ground, going from flower to flower to flower. I thought that sounds lovely. Naya would hate it. Not super efficient, but lovely. Someone else told me they would fly with a bumper pad in case they bumped into anything. Someone else told me they would levitate 12 inches off the ground. They just want to glide past people. They're going through. Someone else said they would fly in a flock. with all of their union siblings with them, taking turns sharing the load. And then I asked Naya's boyfriend, Elijah, if you could fly, how would you do it? And Elijah said, oh, Miss April, I wouldn't fly. I would teleport. And I was like, didn't even think about teleportation. But here's what I've learned, that when you ask people to imagine with you, to create with you, to dream with you, no one ever says, April, that's impossible. Flying is impossible. I'm not even going to entertain the question. Everyone is willing to pause for a moment and reflect and think about their own experiences and what they bring and what they need. And when you do that, when you invite folks to bring their full selves to the conversation, you go from thinking that there are only 3 ways to fly to realizing that there are infinite ways to move. And so, sisters, siblings, brothers, it really is an honor to be in this space with you, to be in this movement with you. I am looking forward to all of the ways that we will fly together. And I thank you for the privilege of addressing you today. Thank you.
Oh, man. Oh, man. It makes you just want to stay here for another 2 hours, but they're giving me the look, so I got to wrap it up. So I just want to thank you, April. Thank you so much. Your story is amazing. Amazing. Your words are so inspiring. I mean, it really touched a nerve with me. Thank you so much. I want to thank Build for the partnership and for allowing me and everybody here, allowing me to celebrate Black History Month with you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. We're going to move to closing remarks from our Build chair and co-chair, Brian and, I was going to say Andre. Sorry. Brian and Devon. The podium is yours.
As with all good events, there's a little pivoting going on. So I'm actually going to pivot and hand the mic over to Brother Gary and Sharina.
Put this up a little higher here for you. And just, can we get another round of applause for April Sims? Just an amazing keynote speaker. Absolutely. And we've got a couple items for our presenters today and our panelists. It's just really amazing when you think about all the adversity, resiliency that we faced with putting on today's events. So many names we didn't list off today, so many volunteers who assisted in ways that you won't even notice or will even see today. Bowlegs pitching in to donate the food. Our speakers and our presenters donating their time, everyone being able to travel up here. And so before we do something special for our presenters, I just wanted to sneak in really quickly here. We've got a couple of our Build members who, as I said, you might have remembered from Juneteenth, I always get to sneak in and give some love to our people, but we've got to give love for our people, especially in these times. So I just wanted to give a few certificate of appreciations to some folks here who have been instrumental in Build's success in the past year. I know there's too many to name here and to have up here, but we just wanted to select a few just to give a little love to. So I know our first one is online. I saw that you're watching. Wasn't able to make it here today. Just a powerful member of Build, Shante Floric. And I'm just gonna read her certificate. In sincere gratitude for your invaluable contributions, dedication, and support to the Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity, Washington State Business Resource Group. Your exceptional commitment and service has made a significant impact on our mission and community. And as you embark on your new adventures in a different state, know that your legacy of excellence will be cherished and remembered here forever. Thank you for being an inspiration to us all, Shante Floric.
And for our next three, I know they're here today in the building, and one of them even had a 3:00 meeting and still found a little bit of time to be late. So we shifted some things up here. But I'm going to ask Latasha Tisdale, Catherine Schutzel, and Sherry Willoughby. Cherie Willoughby. Sharia, you two, come on. We'll first start off with Catherine here. Catherine, and they had no idea about this either. So if you see their looks a little sideways, that's why. Catherine, we'll start here first with you. In recognition of your extraordinary contributions, dedication, and leadership within the Communications Subcommittee of the Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity Washington State Business Resource Group, your exceptional work in maintaining Build's newsletters and your strategic planning efforts, not only in communications, but for Build overall, has significantly advanced our mission. Your commitment and passion have not only elevated our communication across the board, but also inspired so many others to join our cause. And we're seeing more members in our communications subcommittee than we've ever seen before. And it's due part and a big part to all the work for Kat's doing. So with Kat, with deepest gratitude, we honor you. Devon has my camera over there, so I keep watching just in case. Hold on. And then next up here, we've got Latasha Tisdale. Before I read Latasha, with the budget cuts, the restraints, the numerous emails and requests that we were sending to Latasha, today's event would not be possible without her. The support that she has behind closed doors at the highest level with all of our executives is unmatched. And without her, Build wouldn't even be half of where we are. And we know, even with a lot of the uncertainty that we're facing with, our hiring pauses and our budget cutbacks, as long as we've got Latasha in our corner, we know we're going to be all right. So, and so I'll just read this here. Your exceptional commitment and service has significantly impacted our mission and community. Your continued support in assisting Build, providing guidance and ensuring that Build has a voice at the highest level, as well as raising awareness of Build's needs, has been essential to Build's success. Thank you for being an inspiration to us all. Absolutely. And then we've got one more too here for.
I just want to cut in real quick.
They cutting in on the cutting.
Latasha, we got to make you official.
We do have one more plaque too, as well, for Cherie Willoughby. We're going to get some signatures from Marcus Glasper, our Build executive sponsor. Give him a little love here in a minute as well too. But Cherie stepped up in the last year as well, and being our executive assistant as well, keeping things behind the scene, keeping us, Devon, Brian, and myself in order, as well as many others, and keeping us organized. And I've had the honor, obviously, as well too, with working in a former agency with all the work that she does at ESD's being employee resource group as well too. And so Cherie's just always stayed a true testament of support, dedication, and resilience as well. Always has that amazing spirit in putting forth our people. And so Cherie, we wanted to thank you as well too. If we can, just one more time, let's give a round of applause for here before we turn it over.
Before she starts her next role up here at the mic, please give a round of applause for Rochelle Nelson. Look at these beautiful decorations. She is always so responsive and supportive of Build. The beautiful decorations that you always see at our events are her brainchild. So.
All right, and with that, now we'll hand it over to our co-chair and our chair, Brian and Devon Brim. And one last quick love too for Andre as well too. I know we have many 6 a.m. calls, 6 p.m. calls, and all the work he's put in together too. So we thank you, brother.
Before Brian gets up here, can we have all the presenters and facilitators come to the back up to the podium? Shauna, Professor Nathan Webster, April Sims, Dr. Shamika Sutton, and Dr. Marsha Ringa. Photo op. Okay, all right. We're good. It's on you, Brian. Thank you. Got scripts on scripts on scripts up here. I love it. Woo! What a wonderful time we had today. I hope you all had a great time too. First and foremost, I want to say a special thank you. Oh, psych. We got one more announcement. You know, Miss Charlene has worked so hard with that 360 photo booth. She has just 2 more raffles that she'd like to do. And so I'm going to pull 2 tickets real quick. And she has the stuff right here with her. So ticket number, these are the blue tickets. Ticket number 1850936. 1850936. And number 1850930. 1850930. I'm getting orders, folks. 18. Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Brian. All right. So special thank you to the Evergreen State College for letting us use this beautiful venue to host this amazing event. Thank you to Governor Ferguson for your encouraging message. Thank you to Shauna Lawson and the wonderful job that you did emceeing this amazing event. Mr. Marcus Glasper, Build's executive sponsor, for your insight, guidance, and support. And thank you for all the behind-the-scenes work, again, to Latasha Tisdale, Jenny Sandoval, Shante Floric, and Cherie Willoughby. And last but not least, thank you to Build's Communications Subcommittee for your programs, flyers, social media platforms, and today's live streaming, which is also being recorded for later viewing. Thank you. Mr. Brim, the Devon Brim.
Well said, Brian. And I think I speak for Build and Build family, of course, allies and the like. Can't stress enough how much we appreciate you all for being here, taking the time out y'all day to show up and support Build in terms of Black History Month. So thank you for that for sure. But as we wrap up, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Andre Simpson, Rochelle Nelson, Amethyst James, I don't know if she's not here, and the entire Build History and Activity Subcommittee for their dedication and planning and organizing today's in-person celebration. But as the Gary Lott said, them early and late night conversations was well worth it. So appreciate you, Rochelle and Andre. But yes, many believe that we couldn't have done it, of course, through the budget cuts and trials and tribulations, but some way we've seen how we can pull through in tough times. So, but these outstanding individuals prove them wrong. Let's just give them another round of applause as we get ready to close out. So, yes, although our celebration is coming to a close, the Black History exhibit and the 360 photo booth will remain open in round 4, a little bit. So please be sure as you exit to check them out as well. Thank you all for spending your afternoon with us, both in person and online. I know we had some technical difficulties, but we've seen it through again. So before you go, please take a moment to scan Yeah, to scan our QR code above you, and then also virtually, the link is in the chat. And complete the event survey. Your feedback helps us continue our improving our events. So with that being said, wishing you all well, blessings, safe travels, and a joyful Black History Month. And obviously, Rochelle is here to say something.
So if you want to go ahead and leave, go on ahead. But anyone who has a blue ticket, I'm going to do raffles. Okay.